Look at the screen. William Blake's The Great Red Dragon, and the woman clothed in the rays of the sun. Do you see?
I know that I'm not smart.
Then how did you catch me?
You had disadvantages.
What disadvantages?
You're insane.
Do you see?
You're so sly. So am I.
Do you see?
You're supposed to be his friend, Jack. Why didn't you leave him alone?
Do you see? Mrs. Leeds, do you see?
Yes. You want the scent? Smell yourself.
Do you see?
Just you and me now, sport.
Do you see?
You've seen these films, haven't you, my man?
You owe me all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Manhunter, a Manhunter podcast where we're unpacking Michael Mann's incredible adaptation of Thomas Harris's Red Dragon from 1986. It's some of these episodes you guys are going to hear are too big for just one guest. This episode is a special gargantuan double. We come to part two, and part two is with one of my dearest friends on the interwebs, someone who has relinquished the pain and ditched social media largely, except for her Instagram, which she curates a following of people who aren't insane. An incredibly talented writer and just one of the great film minds out there. It's my friend Lindsey Romanne. Hello, Linz.
Hello, Blake. Thank you so much for having me. I am always delighted to speak to you, but especially about this film, which I know we both love.
Oh, we love it to pieces, and it's always, it's like my favorite question sometimes is like, and he's almost precisely how I phrased it to Lindsay was like, "You're a Manhunter girly, right?" She's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Oh good. Just need to make sure I'm not going to push you into talking about a movie that you're not into." But I was very excited. I really wanted you to be a part of this, so thank you for being here. It was, in the kind of long, extensive deep dives of all of the Michael Mann movies, Manhunter's been sitting there for a long time for me, and I unlocking, like, not necessarily going into scene by scene, even though this movie totally could probably stand up to it. Minute by minute, scene by scene just feels so like such a way in where we can talk about all of the different genre stuff and unpack it. So I'm excited. And this kind of new format, if you're listening, this is one of the first episodes you're listening to of the show, you'll hear that, like, we are going to kind of Roger Ebert cinema interrupter style take the scene, be watching the scene, stop the scene, talk about everything that we feel, everything that we're thinking there. I'm going to be guided much by my guests on, like, stop here, I want to talk about this, or stop here. So hopefully it's an enjoyable listen to you. It's certainly going to be super fun for us to do. But can you tell the folks out there before we just dive in, like, Manhunter, you told me you recently rewatched it, so it was a perfect confluence of timing. You hadn't watched it in a little bit. I know you're a fan. How was coming back to it, and what did it unlock for you, like this recent rewatch where you were like, "Oh, this is, one of my faves, and I'm so glad to revisit it." What has it got for you there? Because I know you love, you and I both love Zodiac. We both love Mindhunters. We both love these kind of movies, and we're both suckers for really kind of style superseding story in the right ways, like not being absent of pathos, but like style is everything, and mood. So what did you think about Manhunter now most recently? What's it meant to you?
Well, it was great to get to return to it because my way into this is that I'm a huge Thomas Harris fan. I
Yeah.
even brought along my little
Oh,
I
I've got
don't know
my
that
old
people
little I've got my old little paperback too. I
yeah,
love Red Dragon, the book. It's one of
me
the
too.
best.
Me too, and it's one of those books I've read probably like 50 times in my life. I'm not kidding. Like, it's a perfect if I'm just bored and need to get back into reading, I pick it up. It's been a while since I've read it, and so it's been a while since I've watched the film. It's like one of those things when I reread it, I want to watch, the adaptations and such. So, yeah, so it was really fun to get to rewatch it, and I think getting to rewatch it this time with more of a Michael Mann appreciation too. I don't know that I think in the past I was consuming it as an adaptation of a book that I love, like more so than I was consuming it as like a piece of cinema from this like auteur that I'm starting to like gain an even deeper appreciation for, thanks to folks like you and another film people that I love and respect. Not that I wasn't a fan before, but you know, like kind of getting deeper into the artistry of it all. So watching it this time and just appreciating the color and the tone and the vibe, like you said, it felt more like a mood piece than a you know, crime thriller, perhaps, even though it's very much that as well. So yeah, it was just like I had a great, it's like a great hang. I think my review on Letterboxd, I just wrote "Dudes Rock" for this one. It's like, Dudes Rock. I know it's not like maybe in the Dudes Rock canon, but it was like I was just like, man, dudes after watching this. And yeah, it was just special. I love the casting. Oh my God, it's so and it's so different. I mean, Silence of the Lambs is a movie I've seen again, similar to Red Dragon, just like one of those things you return to. It's on TV all the time. It's just like an easy thing to sit down and consume, but getting to appreciate this one as its own fully different thing. And just I think the coolest thing about these books is how every adaptation is just wildly different and every
Yeah.
take is wildly different. Like it could be very samey and it's not, and it's cool to see how people pull and extract different things from the material. And also like, you know, I went back and kind of thumbed through some Red Dragon things, and it's like snippets from the book, and it's interesting to see that there are like some parallels just in little things that it feels like man maybe pulled out of there, just like instances of color and certain things. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's cool to see what people extrapolate from the material.
I think so much earlier than maybe others, if you were a fan of the books, some people were really wedded to like, it's different, I hate it. Like as
Mhm.
in, and I'm I've been on both sides of that where you see an adaptation, you're like, ugh, and this isn't good. And then you see an adaptation, you're like, oh my God, they got it. Like it sings, it's perfect, it's there. But I think the strange thing is that I love how different, and I'm going to avoid talking about Red Dragon, Brad Ratner's Red Dragon at all costs on this show, but other than to slag it off, which is to say, I love how Man's thing is so different stylistically. And then you get Demi, who was so stylistically different again. And that movie is so transcendent and perfect. Like I think many people can just agree it's just a perfect movie. But then I love like universal horror, like Hannibal in many ways, because it just feels like some weird, wacky universal horror movie that is so extreme and extra, 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 and such a Ridley movie where you're like, stylistically, if you just put these aside and you just like muted and weren't listening to the story and just watch the craft of how three different people can tackle three things in the same universe, it has it's special. Like it's got something special about it. So yeah, I love that the series does that. And I've always liked it. And people like no, people seem to always want to like strangle like, oh no, Silence of the Lambs is rules and Manhunter sucks, or Manhunter rules and I don't like, you know, Hannibal, it sucks. It's like, no, just we can like them all. We can it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to like them all.
Well, and the TV show Hannibal
Oh,
too,
I
another
love that
that's
show. I
yeah, I
love
was
that show.
actually prior to this rewatching this same scene we're about to talk about as it's adapted in that show. And another, it's like, you know, just this other completely different. It's just crazy how there can be these very stylistic creators reading the same thing and just how different it is, but also what they, again, what I said, like what they pick up on in the detail of the text and decide to run with is so cool.
It's
For like
real.
a paperback crime novel, like, dang. Love it.
Thomas Harris, my friend Maz and I always marvel at like he has, apart from being like a great crime writer, really detailed, really, you know, macabre, has the coolest names ever. You know, like
Yeah.
just the names he names people. Francis Dolarhyde is like one of the best names of ever invented. Hannibal Lecter. It's just like it's just so good. Really, really good stuff. So we are diving into one of the earlier episodes in the series right now is the particular scene that we're focusing on is Graham arriving in the Leeds home for the first time. If you're watching, I'm trying to really orient people. The theatrical cut, which we're watching today, is like 8 minute 40 to 13 minutes 40, or 8 minutes and 39 to 40. You'll hear exactly where we are in the film. And if you're watching the director's cut, it's 7 minutes 14 to 12 minutes 16, because I think they take off some of the buffers at the beginning of the movie. There's slightly different timings, and it's not much. There's not much of a digression from the theatrical cut to the director's cut in this moment, so it's a pretty straightforward thing. Um, I have heard, Linz, that there is a Michael Mann director's cut in 70 millimeter print that screened, I think I want to say either early this year or late last year in Los Angeles, which some of our mutuals attended, and they said it was a religious experience. So I'm hoping that at some point that director's 70 millimeter director's cut is heading its way to physical media so we can all appreciate it. But this is where we are right now. So if you, the easiest one to track down is the director's cut. Sorry, is the theatrical cut. So 8 minutes 40 to 13. I'm going to jump in. Linz and I are going to interrupt this thing. We're going to pour over it. We're going to start off. And Linz, you have the reins here. You can just say, Blake, I need you to stop. We need to stop on this scene, and then we'll get into it. But let's dive into the mood. Let's have a look at Michael Mann's craft, and we'll go from there. I'm actually going to stop here. There's one thing that I want to talk to you, Lindsay, is like there's something so quaint here. Like I in my place, like if I go see a late night movie or whatever, and my family's at home, or I sometimes head out to the gym and I'll go later in the evenings, and you come back home and like everything being dark, everything
Yeah.
is, there's it kind of feels a little bit ominous, because usually like I think about my own home, like driving home, like people who are coming home late from work or doing whatever, there's usually lights, some kind of sign of life, like a porch light, or your front light at your front door, etc. And here it's just like this little house that's sort of couched in all this wilderness and darkness, and there's like really stark shadows. I just think about this all the time when I watch this scene, because it's like it's both kind of like quaint and sweet. Like you imagine pulling up to like a family home and it's all dark, and you're just going to sort of, subtly sneak in and, come into your, little comfort and your little sanctuary. And you can't imagine, in all this luscious and beautiful green, blue grays, that you're going to stumble into what we're about to stumble into, or you're kind of like anticipating that this is going to be really horrific. But every time I see this, I'm just like, just this beautiful, delicate, you know, you know, composition here of this particular scene. I'm always just, it just has a little, I don't know, it just does something extra for me. I don't know how you feel, but it's just like knowing what we're about to go into. It's not a creepy house. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel, it feels so nice. It feels like a postcard. And the only thing that you can really see that, the only sign that there's something really malevolent, potentially bad has happened, is this like right in the center of the screen. You can see what we know now is like police tape that is just
Right.
taping up the front of the house. And you're like, that's the only sign right now. There's no police lights, there's no people there. It's kind of, it's being, it's a tomb for whatever has gone on, because they haven't, dismantled it. The whole family is gone. There's no people there poring over stuff. It's like, no, we can't even let you in to
Right.
take comfort, to try and start moving on. It's like, no, we have to keep this as a shrine to this awful, awful crime, because we need to find this guy, because he will do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so true to so many real life crimes that you hear about. Like it's in a perfect neighborhood, idyllic neighborhood where none of this could happen, but knowing that inside is this horrific thing. I think the other thing about this shot that we're frozen on right here is like the light is almost coming from how green the lawn is. Like
Yes.
that's kind of giving you the light, and the moonlight a little bit as well. And so yeah, it's like that contrast right there too of just this lush stuff that's alive on the outside, the trees and the everything, and contrasted by this dark house with no lights on. The only other indicator that there's nobody alive inside is that there's no porch light or nothing like that. So yeah, it's a beautiful shot, kind of that like intrusion of normalcy.
I'll come inside with you if you want to show you around. Mr. Crawford said maybe you'd want to be alone, but
That's right.
Let me stop there.
Yeah.
uh that's another, I mean, obviously him saying, you know, I want to be alone. He wants to go alone. Obviously, that's setting us up for what we're about to see, which is how Will Graham sort of does his whole profiling thing and what he does. I think something I like I said, I thumbed through the book a little bit before this as well, and something really notable that I caught, and you know, I don't mean to like make it an adaptation discussion. Obviously, it's more than that, but I thought it was interesting and kind of could tell us a little bit more about what might be going on for Graham here. In the book, he says something about how he wants to be alone because he's not sure how he'll behave and he's not sure how he'll be seen in this house. He's not prepared to know like what how his reaction is going to be. And I think that's so fascinating. That tells me a
So
lot.
great. So
Yeah,
great. Because that's the implication, right? It's like, I love the Mr. Crawford said you might want to be alone. And it's like, he doesn't even, there's that kind of like patter of polite conversation that Will Graham has no time for. He's like, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Like, it's like,
yeah,
that's right. I do want, yeah, I do want to be
yeah,
alone. That's, thank you. You know, it's exact. And I think that the payoff for that adaptation line that you're talking about, I'm not sure how I'll behave, is the payoff is like the Lecter scene. Like the payoff is coming, where it's like
yeah,
when you're in the Lecter scene, he's like, oh, you just came back here to get the scent, smell yourself, you know, like that. And we see like his natural environment. He is comfortable and really focused in the most gnarly scenes, and he feels a little bit more disheveled and all over the place when it's a normal, like he
yeah,
feels less comfortable in a shopping aisle than he does in what we're about to see him in this. That's such a great little note, a great little internal strife write up. And how good's Thomas Harris? Like how good is that? I'm
yeah,
not sure how I'll behave.
yeah.
Is that an actual, I can't remember. Is that an internal thought, or does he say he doesn't say it to someone, right? He's just thinking it.
No. Yeah, because in the book he's totally alone in this scene.
Yeah.
No one even drives him there. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely in his head and he's the narrator. So yeah, it's just there in his cranium. But it's such a, you know, there's a lot of stuff that he thinks throughout this scene that's so fascinating and that it's interesting to see. You can kind of see it working on like William Peterson's face in it, like even if it's not, you know, direct dialogue or whatever, you can see the gears turning in his head, which I'm sure we'll get into the more we get into the scene. But yeah, it's just that is what makes Thomas Harris such a brilliant writer, is these little just sentences that
Yeah.
make you see this person totally differently. So yeah.
So great. So great. And I do this character actor that's behind, I'm gonna get his name because I believe he's also in Silence of the Lambs. I'm gonna
Mm,
he's one of the actors that's in both, because there is some weird, there's a couple of weird crossover folk who like jumped in the same series, even though they were obviously made by completely different companies and different filmmakers. I want to get his name because he's like such a familiar face. I'm gonna hate myself if I don't. Um, it's
um,
Marshall Bell. He's
yeah,
uncredited in the movie. So if you know Marshall Bell, you know him from Starship Troopers, maybe Stand By Me, Total Recall, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. He's in a ton of movies, and and he's if I haven't picked one of those movies, but definitely, I mean, you know him as the body of Quarto, Okay, from Total Recall mostly. But he does this. Let's go Manhunter 86, and then Silence of the Lambs is 91. Am I right about that? 92?
92, I think. Or is it? Let's see.
No, it's 94. Sorry.
90,
Sorry. No,
91.
91.
91.
Let's but I think he jumps over. He may jump over. Oh no, I might be wrong. No, he's actually he's in Silence of the Hams as a cross-dressing agent in 1994. So yeah, there are a couple of guys that cross over. I just wanted to check if he was one of them. But yeah, he's there too. He's also in like Natural Born Killers, stuff like that. Does a lot of like cameo little roles. He's in X-Files for an episode. But yeah, there are going to be some guys that I want to make sure that I catch. But yeah, it's so funny how like in a book when you've got a narration, you want to say the thing because in the narration you're obviously inside the character's head, and in a film sometimes you then set up a question for a
Mm,
character and allow them to not answer it or
yeah.
to answer it with a little bit of ambiguity or ambivalence. Like, yep, you want to be alone. That's right. Because then there's the sort of yawning silence that we're sort of sitting in the still of this is like it's answering the question for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it tells you a lot about, yeah, it communicates all of that, what we just said, all of that character stuff, just simply by the way, the way he responds, what he's not saying, the body movement, everything. So brilliant.
Brilliant. Love the lighting in this scene too. The car lights and then the exterior lights to make shadows on Graham's face. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a VCR hooked up in your hotel room. They transferred some home movies of both families onto half-inch VHS.
Thanks.
I just want to say I love that thanks because also as a person, as an investigator, he wants to have all of his tools, right? But I just
Mm,
think as a person now who's watched this movie countless times, that line of like, oh, there's also the home movies in their hotel room. Isn't that fun? Like, can't you wait to go back to your own hotel and
yeah.
watch the home movies of these poor dead people? Like, isn't that going to be great for your mental health over the next part of this investigation? I always think like that sounds awful. Like it
Yeah.
sounds it sounds so bad. And I love that like this is what Graham's life is. Like
Yeah.
it really brings like a stark reality. It's like you're gonna go back to your hotel room. Who knows how anyone who does this kind of thing could possibly sleep
Yeah.
anyway. And it's also like, yeah, they come and watch all this stuff, and it's like, oh my God, awful.
Right. It's also already clearly late at night, so the idea that, his late night, early hours will be occupied by that, the time that people are normally asleep is
Yes.
his watching sort of living nightmares. Yeah, definitely.
Let's go watch this living nightmare together. I think
Yeah. On our VCR. Can we stop there for a minute?
oh
Just
yeah.
another, sorry, not to, I know
No,
we're
no.
spending a lot of time on this little scene, but I also love the way that the light kind of goes out there. We're seeing this character actor guy in light. We see his reaction to Will getting out, and then the light just completely fades, which obviously happens when when a car door closes, but it's a subtle thing here where suddenly he's back in the shadows and Graham is on his own again. It feels like kind of signaling that.
And it also takes a beat. Like
Yeah.
as we pause, it takes a beat where you just sort of sit with Marshall Bell's officer, who, like, in some ways, you might interpret it as, and I think it's totally right to, is like you got this big shot who's kind of infamous at this point, right, in the universe, to catch the gnarliest serial killer in the United States, being Hannibal Lecter. And it's like, oh, I'd love to watch him work. I'm just a cop. I'm just a local cop in Atlanta. Maybe there's some things I can learn that make me better at my job. And him just sitting in the car is like, yep, I want to be alone. Yep. Okay. He's trying to make some kind of connection, and there's no connection to be made with Will. And in this little like brief moment, you see that people who are kind of on the outside, like, might be taking something personally, but in the truest sense of like, this guy has so much other, you know, high functioning other shit going on in his mind. He's not caring about the connections that he's making. Unfortunately, his connections that he's got to make are not with people who are alive right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so it's just it's a little tiny little bit of something, because you know we all know folks who sometimes are better or worse in different social situations. I think as we've kind of become more developed as time has passed between 86 and now, like there's definitely these you become more aware of people, like behavioral stuff or anxieties that people have. And it's just so, like, it's almost like sweet and tragic that this guy's in the movie for like 2 seconds. He encounters the most famous detective of the movie's time, and he doesn't get any time with him, and all he wants is to learn. And it's
Yeah.
just this little pang of like real, oh, that would be nice if I could learn from this guy, but he doesn't. I always think about that in the context of like this character, and man just gives him a beat. Like, so it's a credit to
Yeah.
Marshall Bell for actually making something of this, like literally 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that flash of disappointment right as the light cuts out on him. And
Yeah.
yeah, it really, really conveys that.
So great. What a great music cue.
Mm, I know. Right as he steps in, too.
Yeah. Soon as the door slides, it's just like sliding up of the volume.
Yeah. I love to, if we could stop just for a second. I never really noticed this until right now, but I love that we're seeing everything kind of from the floor up.
Yes.
Like it's lingering on the floor on his footsteps. Even when we start on the stairs, it's from the perspective of like the carpet. It's
Yes.
just an interesting kind of uh take. Just the way, I think a lot about where the camera's sitting. Perhaps it's, that discussion in like the Fablemans or
Yeah.
the Steven Spielberg thing of where you put the camera. Now I notice that so much.
Where's the horizon?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But seeing it kind of centered down so low, it's an interesting choice for this particular scene, especially.
Just on the frame that we're on, which is like 10 minutes 11 in the movie, if you really want to like get this shot, I think part of this shot is sort of adapted into the poster, like one of the many posters in Manhunter that exists. But one of the things I think about, I know this is such a weird thing to say, is like in my house, like upstairs is carpeted, like
Yeah.
upstairs is carpeted, but like you sometimes, if you live in a home that's completely carpeted or whatever, I'm just it's the textures, these beautiful colors. Like in the background there's like a yellow table, this kind of like greenish sort of white, you've got these sort of 80s stylish couch that we're sort of creeping out from behind of. And there's just like this inviting, nice texture in the carpet. It's like, coming home, it's one of those houses where like probably take your shoes off normally, like take your shoes off and enjoy our really nice, opulent carpet. It's
Yeah.
nice. You just walk on it. It feels so inviting and comforting. And like even just like small details, like just as they're about to go up the stairs, it's a whole stairwell that's been designed with like family photos, it looks like, or photos up there. So it's a very deliberately like nice, welcoming, welcome to our lovely home kind of vibe. And in the middle of it is literally a silhouette of this very, you know, very sort of stoic, strong, quiet, inquisitive guy holding a torch. And it just feels so unnatural because, like, the lights being on, it does have that kind of home invasion vibe, even though it's it's after that. Because, I think in Michael Mann works all the way up to Heat 2. The novel is like home invasions and violence in the home is like the gnarliest thing that he depicts in almost any of his movies. Like a heist in a bank,
Yeah.
this isn't your money, this is the bank's money, sort of deal. Like those crooks, or the top, the crooks who've got some kind of, you can have some kind of empathy with, are like, they're not going to hurt you. Only they only hurt you if you try and stop them. And secondly, um, they don't want it. They'll just stealing from a bank, from a corporation. But like a home invasion is another layer of hell. Like it's like your sanctuary is being invaded by someone and they're going to hurt your family.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it aligns us to a little bit seeing Graham kind of taking the steps of the killer shows us that link that he has with the killer mind. I know I don't apologies if they mentioned this at all in the movie, but I know in the book he's there at the exact same time the killer would have intruded the house too. So there's this connection that is being made already, and you see it just him walking in the shadows, not turning on any lights. He's just reenacting already. The
Yeah,
steps of the intruder.
they don't talk about it in the film, which is great that you pointed out that they do in the book. But that's the immediate connection. This next moment, which I can just sort of briefly play, if you're in there, it starts at about 10 minutes, 13 seconds. So at the beginning of Manhunter, you see this almost exact shot, but it's shot on video. So
Yeah.
there's this dichotomy between the cinematic perspective, 35 millimeter film, and video as he's ascending and following the exact shaky torchlit footsteps of the killer. This is the thing that, as you know, we talk about this sometimes, like because we've been fans of movies for such a long time. You watch something when you're younger and you don't have a full appreciation of the chilling, something that chills you to the bone. This walking up the stairs with the torchlight chills me to the bone because I'm like, oh, he's in this guy's brain.
Yeah.
And that scares me when I watch this movie.
Yeah. Right down to the steps that he's taking is
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like he is taking the exact same steps. And then you start to see the signs of life.
Yeah. That always gets me. The children, the just stuffed penguin on the toy or on the stairs, and it's so heartbreaking, right? Just
Oh,
seeing that little bit of child normalcy,
a-
and knowing what he's about to walk into and what happened there.
and it's so real because you've got the beautiful downstairs. It's all clean. So mom and
Yeah.
dad have clearly tried to keep downstairs clean as best they can. But if you have children in your house, chaos of random shoes and socks in the places they shouldn't be and a toy on the step, it's just, yeah, it's great. It's so
Yeah.
great. Just like we're at like 10 minutes 22 seconds. This is just the frame of like the way that Graham is walking is mirroring the architecture of the stairs.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's such a great little like, I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just like a little touch, but man, it just plays. This is where things get gnarly, Linz. When
Yeah.
you see stains, black stains on a floor.
Yeah, especially again contrasted with children's items.
Yes.
It's very haunting, and yeah, it's black here. You're not seeing blood, or yeah, I mean it is blood, but you're not seeing that redness. It's just the shadow of something, the imprint, sort of, if you will, of
Yeah.
what's been left there. I feel like we should stop here just on that shot of the room for the first time when we see that enormous blood splatter, and just the contrast there. It always kind of takes your breath away when it first happens. Just seeing
I
all the
was reticent to even like pause on it because like the movie doesn't let you dwell in it, but my God, this this opulent, lovely white room, wedding photos, the arcs of all these blood spatters, it's just and it's horrific. Horrific.
there's there's another thing. Again, I don't mean to quote the book a lot, but there's another thing that stood out to me that I think is genuinely captured in the physical thing that we see here, which is in the book it says Graham switched on the lights and bloodstains shouted at him from the walls, which I think is
Oh, that's a
just
great line. And you
yeah,
don't
when
have to apologize for quoting Thomas Harris in this show. That's the cool. That's a shouted at him from the walls. My
yeah,
God.
And then it says the very air had screams smeared on it. So
Oh,
just I feel like the you feel that, right? Like as soon as
oh,
you walk in and you see that, it does feel like something's screaming at you. And just with the way the blood is splattered, the way the mirrors are broken, the contrast of these stark whites and this kind of dark, deep blood red. Yeah, it's really powerful and scares me, haunts me every time I see it as well.
I have to press play just so we can look at Will Graham's face because I can't look at this anymore.
Yeah.
S- Screams. What was it? Smeared on
Uh,
the air.
Bloodstains shouted at him from the walls, and then the very air had screams smeared on it.
Oh, the very air had screams smeared on it. My word. What a
Yeah.
great piece of writing.
Yeah. I know, especially again, I know we've talked about it. It's this paperback crime novel, but there's just these like beautiful bits of prose in there that are translated here literally in a way, but also not literally. How do you literally translate that?
It's,
Yeah, yeah,
I think in, this is something I've observed in this scene before, so people might have heard it, but I would just say, like, the inference of the scream smeared on the air is how Long Man shows us that, because it's not long where he shows us the actual awfulness of the true awfulness of this, of the actual scene. But then the inference of that scene being behind the camera, I think that it's just, it is there. It's in the air,
yeah,
the drone of the music. It's there for us. Even though we're not looking at it, we can still feel how close Will is to it by the way that Will's reacting to it. So I think that's just another great technique of, like, you have to sort of show it to show the magnitude of what we're dealing with here and why the Tooth Fairy, at this time that they call him before they know him as Dollahide, is such an awful, awful target that they must find. But it's like, once you show that glimpse and then just take it away from us, so we're not having to stare at it or interrogate it, it's like still there. It's hauntingly
yeah,
behind the lens.
yeah,
That's such a great choice.
yeah. That's a great. I hadn't thought of that, but that's absolutely true. It's like once you see that image, it's so powerful in your mind that you don't need to be looking at it. It's still smeared on the air.
It's smeared on the air. I'm looking at Will looking at it. I can
Yeah,
feel it. I can feel
I
it. I'm
know.
in the scene because he's
Totally,
looking right back out at us and we're in that scene.
totally.
Now, William Peterson, he was a snack back
Oh,
this time.
absolutely.
Absolute
Yeah,
stud. Like, yeah, real
that
stud.
was that was
Her-
another takeaway on this rewatch. Now that I'm a little older, I was like, oh, okay. Hi, William Peterson. With your little tan.
You little tan.
Yeah.
I have to shout out because people will obviously hear it much later. Is like, I asked my great co-host of Miami Nice, Katie Walsh. I was like, "What scene do you want to do? Anyone with shorts?
Yeah.
I want to do him in the shorts. William Peterson in shorts, Blake." I'm like, "You got it. You got it."
I love it.
This is something I picked up in this as well, but I just wanted to point out to you. There's the flowers in the bottom right
Yeah.
have blood on them. And I'd never noticed it
Oh,
until the recent. So you can see how white the flowers are, and then you can see
yeah.
this
You're
stain.
right.
And I
You're right.
never picked it up. And I'm just like, if you need a constant reminder of what awfulness has happened, it's also that. It's
Yeah.
also that in that scene right now, there's been some chaos. It's so much chaos so that it's even stained the white flowers, you know?
Yeah. That's and the flowers are white, just like everything else in the room. So
Yeah.
it's capturing that. Again, the violence is off screen, but there's a little bit of it kind of
It's,
still in the corner.
yeah. This is where, this is why this movie, and I think many people have this experience. They watch it very much as like that a great police procedural story, pulpy, you know, Thomas Harris pick up the book in an airport when it first came out and like, oh, I'm just gonna, you watch it sort of passively. And I think what has aged is exactly as you talked about so well as that craft, like where you can look at a detail right now, like where in we're in 11 minutes in. We've got a couple more minutes of this scene to go unpacking together. And I'm just like, that detail of someone having to go over and like stain a flower is
Yeah,
everything. Cause like the actual other composition of the scene is hellish, but just this like little touch, it's still there. It's still right
yeah,
here. He's still in that same space.
yeah. Shows the intention of yeah, every single thing on screen.
Yeah. That's the stain.
Yeah,
The scream
yeah,
stained on the air. The stain is even on the white flowers, this beautiful,
yeah.
delicate flower.
Intruder entered through kitchen sliding door, used a glass cutter anchored to a suction cup. His entry was skillful. All the prints are smooth gloves. Blonde hair, strong, size 12 shoe imprint. Blood AB positive, typed from saliva on glass from licking the suction cup. Why didn't he care that he left saliva on the glass?
I love that line. I
Yeah.
love that line so much.
I also love, and it happens throughout this scene, the way that you see him read something off of the detective report and then look up and add his own little, like, it feels like when he's reading, that's the fact, and when he looks up, that's, Graham's little, like, or things that he's pulling from it,
Yeah.
extracting
Yeah.
from it, seeing,
That's
reading between the lines.
his internal narration, right? It's
Yeah,
like it was skillful. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, skillful.
yeah, yeah,
Skillful.
and just little things. He continues to do it. There's a couple others that I'll call out
Oh,
when
yeah.
we get to them, but there's, just that we see the eyes go down, then we see the eyes go up, and that's the thing between the lines that he provides.
So good.
It was hot out that night. So inside the house must have felt cool to him.
Can we stop there? That's another one I wanted to call
Yeah,
out.
please.
It was hot outside, so it must have felt cool when he stepped inside. Such a like little thing, almost obvious, like, yeah, duh, it's gonna be cooler inside where the air, air conditioning's on. But it's just this little thing that, paints us a picture, paints Will Graham a picture, but also paints us a picture. You can feel suddenly what that night would feel like stepping out from that muggy air right into the crisp coolness. It's such a little thing, but it is like enormous in what it is able to convey and where it can place us into what he's seeing. I just love that every time.
I love it too because Atlanta is steamy. I think in
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Australia, Sydney, where I live, it does get quite muggy. Like there are some days in summer, and not even the hottest days. So I'll try and do the conversion so I can make sense for folk. But like a really hot Sydney day would be like 30, um, uh, like 33 degrees Celsius, which is like 96. That's like
Yeah.
a hot, like close to one of our hottest days. And then there are like these 36 or 96-degree days that
Yeah.
are just it's not dry, it's sweltering. Like you walk outside and you're like, I'm a sweat puddle immediately. And
Yeah.
Atlanta is that. And then coming into a nice, like whether you go into a building or a shopping center or a movie theater, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I just need air conditioning for 2 hours because this is just too brutal. I need the bite of the day to go away.
Yeah.
But like, and that weird physiological thing of like, he's hot out, and as we get later, I think painting the picture of for later scenes, he's getting hot when he's watching. And then there's that
Yeah.
physiological thing of like him, like, oh, he's nice and cool. Is he going to be calm? He's going to be skillful. Maybe that cooling down is like helps him sort of get into his mindset of what he's going to do. But yeah, it's just that little like tactile something that you feel the experience of what it's like to be in that room. And you don't really want to, let's be fair. I don't want to get into this guy's head like you are, Will Graham.
Right.
But yeah, such a great line. Such a great line.
Yeah. I lived recently just a couple hours away from Atlanta, so I can speak to that, like, that lingering just heat in the air and yeah, and the relief that comes with it. So thinking even that like that would aid a killer, right? Like he's so hot and suddenly he's cold and maybe a little more clear-headed. There's just so much you can pull from one little tiny thing that Will Graham is picking up on.
So great. Stop me anytime in this scene.
The intruder cut Charles Leeds' throat as he was rising, then shot Mrs. Leeds. Bullet entered right of her navel and lodged in her lumbar spine, but she died of strangulation. Moderate elevation of serotonin and marked increase of free histamine level in gunshot wound indicates she lived at least 5 minutes after she was shot. All her other injuries are post-mortem. Direction and velocity of bloodstains on east wall indicate arterial spray. Even with his throat cut, Leeds tried to fight because the intruder was moving to the children's room. Bloodstains on west wall of master bedroom and matted sliding marks on hall carpet remain unexplained, as does superficial ligature mark around Mr. Leeds' chest, also believed to be post-mortem.
I'd love if we could stop there for a minute. Just again, obviously, like I mentioned, the flickering of his eye from the paper to to the scene. I also love this is such a nerdy little thing, and it's but one of my favorite thing in these like crime movies is just seeing the actual police report typed out like
So
that.
good, yeah. And
Yeah,
the like overhead sketch of the house and like
yeah,
and where the bodies were placed and stuff like that. Someone just like drawing it, like here's the room where the bodies, da 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 da. Yeah, it's really interesting. Really interesting.
yeah, and it's kind of just showing you the more tactical stuff, like the more official stuff that comes from these horrific things, just how someone has to sit at a typewriter and type this up, it's almost normal. And the contrast of that, and just the literal fact of it, and then the emotion of being there is, I think, works really well in a scene like this.
Yeah, it's like something that is perfunctory is something that has check boxes and someone
Yeah,
types wife found here, husband strangled. That it's just like when you're in that space, that it's almost like it encapsulates the fascination that we have with crime and true crime, which is like the
yeah,
gap is a police report is a boring official record, almost may as well be a parking fine, and it's talking about
mhm,
this scene, and
yeah,
the gap between those two things is so yawning that it's like, oh, this is why we're fascinated because the horrific nature of what it is, it can't be captured on a police report. Can't be.
yeah, yeah, and it makes you think of the two perspectives of people involved in investigating this, right? There's
Yes.
the literal, ness of the people again typing up those reports, the autopsy, those things that paint a certain picture, and then this whole other side of it, just realizing that it takes so many different crews of people, and yet we'll see here that Will Graham, almost doesn't need any of that, can kind of see it just manifested before him. But yeah, I like that element of procedurals too, just knowing that knowing too that like when there's an intimate crime that happens, that's people that you'll never meet or know are the ones looking at you, post-mortem. I always find that kind of chilling too. Like sometimes the people that will come to know your body best are people that you never met in your living life, and that's uh,
Oh
a
God.
strange thing to think about, perhaps a morbid thing to think definitely a morbid thing to think about, but
It
something that I always think about when I watch like, movies about even like funeral homes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's also that people, you're we're so private, right? Like, I mean, I know we're the most public as a species that we've ever been. People putting their lives out there to be consumed, but it's also like, yeah, there's certain levels of intimacy. You're like, no, I don't want you to see. I don't want you to see.
Yeah.
I don't, even as something as simple as like, I don't want you to see me like jump into my like comfy clothes at
Yeah,
the end of the
exactly.
day, like what I sit on the couch and watch, my late night movies with or whatever, like all those sort of like really intimate moments. And here it's just all someone has to type that in a report.
Yeah.
in a very
Yeah.
objective, matter of fact, boring way, you know, and it's like that's the end. I think it's
Yeah.
like I don't think it's more. I don't think it's more. I think it's like almost like a rite of passage. You have to kind of think about that sort of stuff, and it actually it makes me like know why I like you so much, Linz, because that's a really deep and thoughtful thing that I think a lot of people who watch true crime and stuff like that, they might not get there. It's like more of like an entertainment factor, but there's a stark reality in that. Like you're like if you watch all this stuff, that's what I it's the reality of it that is the scary thing. Like at the end of it, you are mythologized in some of these true crime things, but here Will is talking about the sort of tragedy of just being like a record, like a photocopy, a checkbox list, a pamphlet of like, this was the end. And none of your family are allowed in the house. No one who loves you can go, you know, who's probably suffering from the tragedy can even go in the house because the tragedy is still too fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, your flesh again, not to bring it back to that, but like things that your family would never see, intimate parts of you are, you know, on a slab for people to investigate in a not always in a murder scene. Hopefully most people will not be investigated that way, but kind of
Yeah.
medically and whatnot too. So yeah, I think that maybe doesn't come across immediately just from seeing a, you know, police report typed up, but it's all of those little things that live inside of it that stand out when you pause and look at a scene like this.
Really great. Really great scene. You're great at
Also,
this. You're great at this. We should do this more often. Let's get back.
What'd the killer do with them after they were dead?
That's still so great. That just that touch of we know now because we've watched this movie so many times. We know the return to the Leeds house. We know that he starts to figure out the staging and the seeing and being seen. But it is just like the other gnarly thing to think about in that scene is it sounds like, and I don't know if you could interpret it this way as well. It sounds like he moves them to watch him do whatever he does. And then he kind of like drags them
yeah,
back to other
yeah,
parts of the house or like almost like disassembles whatever setup he's got to make it less obvious to the people who are discovering what he's done that he's
yeah,
done this. And so I love that in that moment we're still kind of figuring it out, but it's just that thing of like it's just another detail. Like I'm going to set up this audience to watch me becoming what I'm becoming, and then I'm just going to like disassemble it because it's not important anymore.
yeah,
Scene has
yeah,
played out.
yeah. It's treating the bodies almost like dolls. He can just,
Yes.
configure as he wants to, which shows such a depersonalization of the people that he's just done the most atrocious possible thing to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrifying, the implications there, and it lingers throughout the whole movie, obviously, as he continues to unpack all of this. It's always in the back of your mind what happened to these people.
I've never thought about this, but is that picture a magic eye picture?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's
There's a picture
certainly,
of 12 minutes, 52 seconds.
yeah.
It just kind of looks a bit like a magic eye, which is a very 80s, early 90s thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks almost like it's
There's
not
some,
writing maybe, but there's some kind of
yeah, there's some,
dots in the middle or something.
yeah, I don't know what that artwork is.
It's an odd place to put a painting, like in the
Yeah,
wall of your bathroom, like that. So it's an interesting choice, regardless of what it actually is.
I'm going to
Although I guess
go,
it's in the reflections.
I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the Google Lens search on this to see if it comes up with like, no, there's just lots of like weird little silver abstract art pieces that are popping up. No specific artists there, but yeah, I just saw. I haven't even thought about that before. I'm like, oh, it's like a weird little
Yeah.
piece of art. Usually
Yeah.
bathroom
Also,
art is jokey, you know?
yeah,
It's,
yes.
you know,
Or
it's
it's
good.
very like it is usually like I have some art in my bathroom that's like weird because my house is weird, but like, it's usually like on theme of some sort. I guess this is on theme. It's gray and white like everything else, but it's an odd choice for like a bathroom. Let me put this weird marbly looking painting with nothing on it just on the wall large like that. Yeah. I love this too. If we could pause here, it's a little thing, but something that stood out to me so much on this watch, almost like glaringly so, which is in the scene right before this, we see this shattered mirror, and the shattered mirror is, obviously kind of a key part there. And then immediately we're in the bathroom where it's a mirror that's put together, but we see Will kind of fragmented in it, right? It's like he's
Yes.
broken up, his reflection is broken up, and it's a subtle stylistic thing, I think, that kind of still symbolizes that he's in the mind of the killer with these shards, even though they're not shards here, but it kind of looks like it visually.
Yeah, that refraction of will. It's breaking
Yeah,
apart. It's really cool. And it's also uh like I can't ever help but think it's like Enter the Dragon, like with
mm,
Bruce Lee, like that amazing mirror scene and just like what that's doing for the action in that moment. It's just like these mirror scenes where he's seeing himself and especially seeing different parts of himself or different little notes. It always gets me when he walks in here. Just that there's this big
yeah,
orchestration of being himself being reflected back and maybe not seeing exact. It's the last thing that he wants. He doesn't want to share this space with anyone else, but now he has to go into this bathroom. He just needs to clear his head. He needs to splash water on his face, but he has to look at himself again, and he has to look at himself in this mindset again, which I think is another form of like, it's another prying prod for him because
yeah,
he doesn't want to see himself like this.
yeah, absolutely. I also think it's notable that the bathroom is largely untouched too, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's no blood or anything that we can at least see. Um, and so it's almost like he's stepping into this spot of normalcy after looking at such a horrific thing. And also, I always find this scene kind of, he's almost like being intimate with the house, right? He's using the
Yeah.
sink of the people who lived there. It's like creating a comfort with it. He's not treating it like a museum piece or something. He's treating it like a house, and it almost makes it eerier to think of it that way, that he's in these people's space that they were just in it a couple of days ago, right? And using it as it was intended, and now this man is in there trying to figure out what happened to them while just kind of using their things.
Yeah, and
uh,
it's also like your ensuite if you have a bathroom that is attached to your bedroom.
yeah,
That's not the one that people use.
right,
Yes,
right,
it's not like the guest bathroom or like a toilet that's, another, a separated toilet that, people just use in the house. It's completely intimate. It's the last space. It's where you're like you can see the shaving cream lid is off and Vaseline in the corner. It's just like it's way more like your all of your private things. Again, that privacy element. And here he's in there using it. And it's like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Will is
yeah,
literally making himself comfortable. It's like
yeah, yeah.
and it's really great. Popping something here.
I In the book, it's aspirin.
Yeah.
So just I purposely looked that up because I was like, what is he popping back here? Is it should we be taking note of that? But I think it's just supposed to be aspirin.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Valerie Leeds. Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, please do so after the beep, and I'll call you back as soon as I can.
This part always really haunts me too. Not to get too like personal, but as someone who's lost people in my life, one of the weirdest things that happens after they're gone is little things like that. I remember being at my house. My mom passed away when I was a kid, and I remember being at my house and the phone ringing. at one point and no one picked it up and my mom's voice was still on the answering machine and like hearing it lingering there. It's such a weird artifact that you don't even think about until it happens. And this scene, you know, that moment just instantly recalls that. And I know I've had friends who have lost people who say they like will call the voicemail of, you
Or their
know, the person
voicemail.
they lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to hear the
Or
voice
keep.
again.
We're lucky enough now we can keep voicemail sometimes on our
Yeah.
phone, so you can keep a voicemail and you can hear them, and you're like, oh god,
Yeah. Yeah. And
there
it's
they are.
something just the simple thing of, yeah, your voice being captured in that way and just reappearing like that is just such a little thing, but I love that detail here.
It's beautiful. Who's on the phone?
I don't know. Who do you think's on the phone?
I've always wondered, but every time I watch, I don't know if it's Francis.
Yeah, that was
Do
my first or my
do
thought when I was thinking of this scene more this time, because that is a known thing with serial killers, right? That they like to go back and look at their crime scenes or uh, intrude on that again. So it's very possible that it's him. Um, I like the, yeah, I like wondering.
I like wondering too, and it's also, but you know, I haven't landed on it anything definitive because, as you said, really beautifully, and thank you so much for sharing that, like memory. But like, it could totally be that the Leeds extended family friends of going like, I can't go to the house.
Yeah.
This has been a couple of weeks or maybe a month. I can't go to the house. Or then, sorry, this is the most immediate one. So no, it's the second killing. Can't go to the house. We can't interact with their bodies or anything like that. It's part of an active investigation that's happening. And so, what's the only thing that you can do? It's pick the phone up and hear Valerie
Yeah.
Leeds' voice and then hang up. And
I
so,
think too.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think what's interesting is any option of what it is interesting and could add
Yes.
depth to it because it could also just be someone calling who doesn't know that they died, you know, someone who's just calling to check in or, you know, for whatever random reason. And that's sad and tragic and haunting in its own way too. So any of those potentials are uh, you know, I think equally have weight. And I like the ambiguity there because you can kind of think of it as you will. Um, as I think I wonder if that's what Will's doing in that moment. We see him kind of take a minute and listen to it. And obviously I'm sure at first it's the pang of just like hearing that voice, but I'm sure he's wondering too, is that the killer calling? Who is that? Is that something I should be noting? Yeah, it's a really great detail. Also not in the book. So that was something added, at least not that I recall from the bit I just reread, but so yeah, it's a deliberate choice here.
And I want to say that Michael Mann is absolutely the kind of guy who would have learned that serial killers like to call the home and to have put it
Oh
in
yeah.
there and just never say anything about it. Like that's that
Yeah.
he's very much that kind of creative. Is like have someone call.
Yeah.
He's also it interrupts Will's mojo, if you like. He's like he's in there, he's trying to get some peace. He's having an aspirin. He's like, oh god, and then the phone rings and it's like there's almost that half expectation. Like, is this going to be Jack Crawford saying, "Hey, Will"?
Mm,
Graham, if you're in the house, blah, 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 or is it going to be something like that? But because, you know, this is back at a time, obviously, no one's running around with mobile phones. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it's just, yeah, it just gets me this last final moment as we lead up to the conclusion of our scene.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I love it. It hit me even more this time as I went back and rewatched the scene a few times in preparation, just that kind of gut punch. It also, like you said, yeah, cuts into what he's doing. He's using these people's bathroom and then all of a sudden hears the voice and it's like a reminder of like, oh yeah, like this is what I'm
Oh, this
doing,
isn't just
where
a
I'm at.
toilet. This isn't a toilet
Yeah,
in a hotel room. It's
yeah,
someone's intimate space that I'm in. It's
yeah,
all those
yeah.
things. Yeah, I had a I had a dear friend of mine pass away a few years ago, and his Twitter account for whatever reason is still active.
Mm,
And I will go back and I just like look at the DMs we would send each other. Like
yeah,
that's like the kind of like voicemail I would see that stuff, and I'd be like, God, there it is, there it
yeah.
is. It's that yeah,
I
you see that happen. That's how we can clutch onto things, you know.
Totally. I remember the first time, back when stuff like Facebook was new, and the first time you know somebody who passes away and their Facebook is just still there. Um, I remember I'd never felt that kind of feeling before, right? Of like, oh
Yeah.
gosh, like what happens now? Does that
Yeah.
just exist forever? I know now there's like options that you can leave it to people or whatever, but yeah, it's just those weird little artifacts that stick behind when someone passes are not even things you can predict or think about in the moment, but there they are.
Yeah. I do. I think this shot is so tough because it's like the whole time we've just been with Will and he's fractured, and sometimes there's that lack of clarity of and the disorientation of the mirrors in front of him, even though it's not disorientating in a way that you can't sort of like that's distracting. But as we leave the scene, the remaining light, the moonlight coming through, you can still see just how close he is to how awful this scene is. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a sanctuary. This is
Yeah.
just a tiny bit of respite.
Yeah. You get that little reprieve and then the lights go out and the moon's shining right on the bloodstained
Yeah.
pillow. And it's like, oh yeah, like, yeah, yeah. His little moment away was not even really
It's
away,
not away.
Yeah, no, I know. And just the like I don't even want to say like, not normalcy, but just like the simplicity of all of that blood and gore just existing there, right? With no
Yeah.
fanfare. It's just there. The lights are gonna go off. He's gonna leave the house and it's all just still there, not cleaned up. That's another like thing that happens a lot that we don't always consider is just that crime scenes get left alone for a while or bodies get left alone. It's not this immediate like rush to clean it up and make it perfect again. And that's just really, really haunting to know that
And, and
house can have that.
yeah, and then there's just, you know, there's crime scene cleaners, just
Yeah.
people who like normal folk whose whose job, and they actually, sometimes have certificates and degrees and things like
Yeah.
that to do this stuff properly, have to then go in and just treat this like any other mess. Like
Yeah.
once the investigation is over.
Yeah. There's a movie about that. Have you ever seen Sunshine Cleaning?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's a kind of a comedy dramedy with Amy Adams and Emily Blunt. They play sisters who are crime scene uh, cleaners, and there was a thing I had never thought of before until I saw that movie years
Yeah,
ago.
I've got a
Yeah.
relative who's like currently um like working on like the certificates and stuff that you need to do that because he's got his own little cleaning business. He's like, yeah, um like I wanted like I want to be able to do that because he's had some experiences in his life. He's like, I want to be able to be there to help, in those sort of circumstances. And it requires like, it's just crazy to think like you're going in and seeing that. Like Will is a guy who is trained as a criminal profiler, has been a police officer at probably times, has seen horrendous things, has had to study them to get his degree. But can you imagine just being like a normal person who then goes in and sees that scene? What does that do to you? Like what
Yeah.
those things linger. It's a really incredibly tough thing that folks have
Yeah.
to encounter.
And I think too, I mean, not to get too grisly, but it's not even just going to be blood sometimes, right? There will probably be shards of other things and
Yeah.
bone and just stuff you probably wouldn't even anticipate having to clean in a space like that. And that's got to be even more gruesome.
Mm.
I think you can prepare yourself for blood, but not for the other little things that come with that. And yeah, it's also just, I mean, to relate this to something kind of funny or not funny, but just like interesting. I used to work in a movie theater when I was in high school because, of course, I feel like it's
Of
kind of a
course. Yeah.
critic, film writer, rite of passage, right? That you worked in a movie theater um, or a video store or something. But yeah, I worked at a movie theater, and I remember one time somebody. We don't know exactly what happened, but there was blood left in like the bathroom somewhere, and kind of a lot of it. It wasn't just like a little streak. It was like like a puddle almost. And it was me and just a couple other teenagers working there, and we didn't I guess we didn't think much of it. We're like, oh, it's just like blood, will clean it up. But we ended up calling our manager, or like the owner of the theater, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, no, you guys can't touch that. Like that's like a toxic thing. Like you can't interact with blood." So we had to shut the whole theater down, and like the bathroom had to be quarantined or whatever. And just when you think about it that way, it's like, yeah, blood can contain so much too. There's
Yeah.
uh there could be disease or whatever in there. Just knowing that that's like a story of a person too, right, in their
Yeah.
blood, and seeing it here casually, seeing it out in the world, it's just such a another intimate thing if you think about it. It's
Yeah.
like you don't
Literally,
even
my
your
blood
own
is
blood. Yeah.
your blood is telling a story.
Yeah.
Your arterial spray is telling a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
That concludes our scene. Will getting into an elevator to have some well-earned shut-eye. Oh, but don't worry, Will. We have every videotape of the family for you to consume and go blissfully off to sleep. Uh, Linz, that was so great. Thank you so much for doing it. So great to pour over a scene like that with you. Thank you for bringing your Thomas Harris quotes and your dog-eared great old paperback. Bless it. I've got one much the same on my shelf sitting over here. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's a real treat. And any series that I do, I love to have a little bit more of Lindsay in it. So thank you so much for being a part of this one. Because yeah, what a what a great scene in a great film and a great adaptation. Like not not being not being afraid to do things differently, but doing things in a more cinematic way in some ways than you have the boundaries to do in a book, but like still very much in keeping with the heart of that novel. It's so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me and also letting me do this scene. I know I kind of immediately like, can I do that one? Because it's one of my favorites, and a scene that the last time I watched the movie, I went back and watched this part. So it obviously stuck with me in some way. I just love getting into the mind of these detectives. It's part of what makes this genre so interesting too, right? And I think it's rendered here in a way we don't always get to see in these types of movies, with that sort of intimacy and um yeah, just right in the mind of Will Graham. It's great. So I really appreciate you
Oh,
letting me get to unpack it.
I appreciate you for just jumping at this scene. So thank you so much. Guys, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on another episode of Manhunter very soon.